Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for tuning in for the conclusion paragraph overview. So this one is a little less detailed and intricate as the other videos that we just went over. So for a conclusion paragraph, we're going to go over the requirements that make up a concluding paragraph for this essay, and then we're going to go a little in depth with what each of these parts are, and wrap it up with what not to say in concluding paragraph. So, conclusion requirements. Overview of the requirements that make up a concluding paragraph in this essay. Here are the 4 things: restating your thesis, summarizing your points, answering that big so what question that you've kind of been answering in your analysis, and then some closing remarks to wrap it all up. Now let's go in depth into exploring the parts of a concluding paragraph in this essay. Restating your thesis. So I think oftentimes when it comes to the concluding paragraph, students struggle with it, or writers in general, because you're trying not to repeat yourself. How do I not say the same thing again? So make sure that you're paraphrasing your thesis, not necessarily saying it word for word. Come full circle. Remind your readers of what the purpose of your thesis is. Then summarize your points by listing the points you made in your body paragraphs. This transitions into this so what question. What is the purpose of those points that you summarized? You're giving a little more explanation on not just rephrasing the thesis statement, but going into each of the bullet points, addressing why it's important to discuss topics and issues like this. And all of these things connect to one another. So that so what will bring you into your closing remarks. In your closing remarks, you may be wrapping up some of these ideas. You may even draw connections to how does this relate to what's happening in the world today, and then maybe provide some advice or a solution to the question your essay prompt asked. And by doing these things, you end up leaving your reader with something to think about. Oftentimes, and even I myself, after finishing a big project or writing an essay, you're just like, okay, cool, it's done. But actually, this essay is really just the start of a conversation. And so that's why you want to leave your reader with something to think about. Your essay is a conversation starter to spark something in your reader's mind. And this brings us into what not to say in a concluding paragraph. 3 things. So first, do not introduce a new point. This is not the time for you to include any new analysis, present a new piece of evidence, make a new point for your paragraph or your essay altogether. Number 2, do not apologize. There isn't a reason that you have to apologize for what goes into your essay or anything that you've said so far. If you look back to the slide on what is the thesis statement, remember, the first thing is that your thesis statement or what you're writing about is contestable. It should be arguable because it's your opinion. And at the end of the day, this is your essay. So whatever you wrote, stand by it. There isn't a reason that you need to justify what it is that you wrote in your essay when you're writing your concluding paragraph. So stand by what you said, and you don't need to apologize. And lastly, do not end vaguely. Don't leave the reader feeling unsatisfied. This sometimes happens if the last few sentences are not strong enough. And so you might be wondering, well, how am I supposed to not end vaguely? How do I not leave the reader unsatisfied? Well, meet these requirements, essentially, right? If you're able to answer the question of so what and address why these topics or issues are important, if you're able to draw connections between what you're reading and what's happening in the world today, and leave your reader with something to think about, then I think you have done your job in making sure that the reader is not feeling left unsatisfied, because you're wrapping everything up and putting it all together. All right, so this is how everything ties together. We've done your introduction, you've introduced the topic, you've stated your purpose, we've went over what appeals are, and you use those to persuade or convince your reader. And you can do that through your body paragraphs, whether that's in your evidence or your analysis. And you're providing credible sources to support your thesis statement or your purpose that you've stated in your introduction. And lastly, your conclusion. You're wrapping everything up, you're drawing everything to a close, and emphasizing the points of your essay. So these are all the things that make the argument, literary analysis, persuasive writing. Hopefully these videos were helpful for you. Please review them again if you need some more writing support over the next couple weeks. Thanks for watching, everybody.